Hello horror movie lovers, I'm Trenton and I love movies just like you, obviously. So I watched The Lodge because it's the month of...
Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas.
My expectations were neutral, leaning towards high. I did watch the movie like a year ago and remember thinking it was okay. Didn't hate it, but didn't love it either. But did the movie meet my expectations? Yeah. I will say that I really liked the movie more on a rewatch. That's definitely the benefit of rewatching a movie sometime later on, because your opinions can drastically change when you know exactly what to expect from a movie.
So everyone's entitled to one good scare.
A soon-to-be stepmom is snowed in with her fiance's 2 children at a remote holiday village. Just as relations begin to thaw between the trio, some strange and frightening events take place. The first third of this video will be spoiler-free, then the last 2/3 will contain spoilers. Don't worry, I will give you a warning before we enter spoiler territory. There really isn't many characters. Richard, the children's dad, him, we hate him. Adam and Mia, the children, are annoying as all hell. Oh my god. If this isn't a don't have children PSA, I don't know what is. Grace, our main character, is certainly not well and flawed. She has trauma, of course, which seeps into her day-to-day life. I liked her character. I don't care. I am a ride or die Grace apologist. She literally can't do any wrong in my eyes. The story is interesting. Is it entirely unique? No, but does the movie have unique aspects to it? Yes. I like the story. I found it to be simple yet very effective. The writing is pretty good as well. Watching the movie for the first time when you don't know what to expect, especially with a movie like this, comes with a certain type of anxiety that can definitely overpower or distract you from the writing itself. And that's how I felt when I first watched it. I was anxious and on edge the entire time, to the point where I couldn't fully form my thoughts on the movie. But this time, knowing what unravels and what happens in the movie, I will say that the writing is good. The foreshadowing, lots of minor details that hint at what's to come, and very subtle reactions from certain characters that really say a lot. I liked both the story and the writing. The cinematography is great. The movie is cold, literally and figuratively. Visually, the movie looks depressing, which is fitting for the subject matter. You can take any still from this movie and come to the conclusion that the movie will be depressing. There really isn't a lot of camera movements either. It's very static, which adds to the movie feeling cold, depressing, unsettling, and gives the movie a sense of realism. The movie isn't effects heavy, and if the scenery itself was, shit, I could not tell. But when there are moments where effects are used, they're practical and pretty subtle. Nothing super over the top or extravagant, which also gives the movie a sense of realism. The tone is dark and depressing, like I said earlier. Holy this movie is quite serious and not lighthearted whatsoever. Oh my god. There's an aspect that's present throughout the movie that would need a trigger warning, as well as other aspects, so with that said, if there's any subject matter that could potentially be triggering for you, do some research before you watch the movie if you still decide to watch it. Seriously. The pacing is slow. This is the definition of a slow burn. The movie's only around an hour 40 minutes, but I personally didn't feel the runtime. The first time I watched it, I definitely did. It felt way longer than an hour 40 minutes. But oddly enough, on a rewatch, the movie went by way quicker than I was expecting. Probably because I had a general idea of the movie structure. The life lesson that I learned after watching The Lodge was that
mental health is a really serious issue. I mean, I have body dysmorphia.
Oh my god, shut the fuck up, Alice.
Overall, I love this movie on the second watch and will definitely be adding it to my annual Christmas movie rotation. I'm gonna give The Lodge an 8 out of 10. We are now entering spoiler territory. If you haven't seen The Lodge, watch it, then come back to the video, or if you simply don't care about spoilers, keep on watching. In this portion of the video, I break down the movie, go more in depth with my likes and dislikes, as well as my favorite scene, favorite kill, and least favorite kill. Again, we are now entering spoiler territory. Laura Hall takes her own life after her estranged husband, Richard, informs her he plans to marry Grace Marshall, a woman he met while researching a book about an extremist cult. Raised in the cult, Grace was the sole survivor of their mass led by her father. Laura's death devastates her and Richard's children, teenage Aiden and young Mia. Okay, starting off at 100. Wow, okay, that's a lot. 6 months later, Richard announces that they will spend Christmas with Grace at the family's remote Massachusetts lodge to get to know each other. Aiden and Mia uncover Grace's past, including video footage of the cult, showing their deceased followers draped in purple silk with duct tape across their mouths reading sin. At the lodge, the children act hostile towards Grace and refuse efforts to bond with her. Even after Richard departs back to the city for a work obligation, Grace's unease is compounded by the abundance of Catholic iconography, including a reproduction of the version Annunciate by Antonello de Messina in the cabin, which causes her to have nightmares about her father. After being rebuked by watching her shower, Aiden prepares Grace a cup of cocoa, and the group watches a movie, during which the siblings decide to use a gas heater indoors and Grace wonders whether it's safe. In the morning, Grace awakens to discover that her belongings, including her clothing, psychiatric medication, and pet dog, are missing, as well as all the food and Christmas decorations. The generator has gone out, leaving all of their cell phones dead. Grace suspects the children have pranked her, but finds their belongings missing as well. She notices the clocks have advanced to January 9th. Aiden tells Grace he dreamed the gas station heater malfunctioned and they all suffocated, and expresses fear that they might be in the afterlife. Over the next several days, Grace succumbs to anxiety, medication withdrawal, hunger, and cold. She begins sleepwalking and is tormented by disturbing visions and dreams, including the recurrent voice of her father sermonizing. She attempts to walk to the nearest town, discovering a cross-shaped cabin where she sees her father beckoning to her. She eventually travels in a circle, taking her back to the lodge. Buried in the snow, she discovers a photo of Aiden and Mia in a memorial frame, and inside, finds the children praying over a newspaper article detailing the deaths of all three from carbon monoxide poisoning on December 22nd, 2019. Aiden insists that they are in purgatory. And hangs himself in the attic as proof that they're dead, only to inexplicably survive. Evil, I say, evil pieces of shit. There is seriously something wrong with these children. They preying on Grace's downfall, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Grace suffers a nervous breakdown, which intensifies when she finds her dog frozen to death outside. She enters a catatonic state on the porch. Worried she might die of exposure, the children finally admit that they have been gaslighting her the entire time, having drugged her, hidden her possessions in a crawl space, faked the hanging, and played recordings of her father's sermons via a wireless speaker. With their own phones dead at last, the children unsuccessfully attempt to start the generator and bring Grace her medication, but find her convinced that they are in purgatory and must do penance to be accepted by God and ascend to heaven. That night, the children witness Grace self-flagellating by burning herself on the hearth. They hide in the attic, but Grace confronts them in the morning, insisting they must sacrifice something for the Lord and free themselves from idols, before setting Mia's doll on fire. Richard returns to discover an inconsolable Grace holding his revolver. In an attempt to prove her belief that they are in purgatory, she fires the gun at him, killing him. Aiden and Mia attempt to flee in the car, but get stuck in the snow. Grace forces the children back into the lodge, where she seats them at the dinner table with their father's corpse and sings "Near My God to Thee." She affixes duct tape reading "Sin" over each of their mouths while a loaded gun rests on the table. Then the movie ends. See, is this not a don't have children PSA? The children in this movie are absolutely evil as I can understand why they wanted to torment Grace due to them feeling like she was the cause of their mother herself, which is a completely valid feeling to feel towards Grace. But are we just going to ignore the fact that this is the dad's fault? They definitely should hate him. I don't remember the movie saying who Grace exactly was to the children's dad. Like, were him and their mother already getting a divorce and he just found someone new? Or did the dad cheat on the wife and ask to get a divorce so he can marry Grace instead? I want to assume it's the latter based on how their mother reacted, because that is a lot to rush the divorce process with your wife of however many years to marry a side chick instead. That would definitely be a lot. The opening is absolutely insane. I remember so vividly how I felt watching that scene for the first time. Heart fell to the floor, of course. It's so abrupt, and the fact that we get somewhat of an understanding of the kid's relationship with her mother just for her to kill herself like 5 minutes later, woo, that is very up and traumatizing indeed. The twist is just so up. The fact that these evil ass children did their research on Grace, therefore knowing that she has religious trauma, and uses that against her, trying to make her go crazy the entire movie and trying to make her kill herself. It's not directly said that they want her to kill herself, but the oldest son using the harness to make it look like he hung himself, trying to convince her that they all died, gives the impression that they're trying to trick her into herself, which obviously backfires. You hid her meds from her, like, did y'all not fully think this out? You know that she was the only survivor of a cult and thought, Let's mess with her. Idiots, idiots, idiots. The end where she inevitably snaps and kills everybody, including herself, is frustrating. This could have been a good Christmas, but no. The children had to ruin it and make her go crazy. I don't know if I was supposed to feel bad for the children's father getting killed by Grace, but I didn't, and neither did I feel bad for the children getting killed either. I literally only felt bad for the children's mother and Grace majority of the movie. I wish the children's deaths weren't implied and were actually shown. That would have just been a more effective payoff in my opinion. While Grace's death could have been implied by her putting the gun up to her head, then the movie ending, I would have preferred that. Visually, I just love how the movie looks and how a lot of the shots were framed as if they were in the dollhouse replica that kept being shown throughout the movie. It made the movie feel claustrophobic, which is fitting due to the characters being trapped in the house during a snowstorm with no form of communication or transportation to go and get help. My favorite scene will have to be pretty much every scene with Riley Keough, aka majority of the movie. I just love her. Like, how can you not love her? My least favorite scene would have to be when the kids first meet Grace in person in the car. The scene wasn't bad or anything, it was just awkward and I was so uncomfortable, which was the intention. The dad knew exactly what he was doing, leaving his children in the car with the woman you left their mom for, the woman that they think is the reason their mom killed herself. Like, ugh, I hate him so much. My favorite kill would have to be the mom's death. I mean, there isn't many deaths to work with in the movie and I absolutely hated her death, but it was just jarring, effective, and came out of nowhere and traumatized me again. I almost skipped that entire part because I didn't want to relive that again, but the jarring nature of the death is what makes it my favorite. My least favorite kill would have to be the children. Again, it was completely off screen, which I feel definitely made the payoff not as effective. Still effective, don't get me wrong, but not as effective as it could have been. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos from me, and make sure to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Alright, horror movie lovers, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.